What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Pazza podcast. I'm Travis, back here after a narrow 3-2 victory against bottom feeders Monza. Coming back a little later this week on Monday, releasing this video. I posted on Saturday on YouTube and Instagram, giving a prediction. I predicted 3-1, which was kind of close with goals from Lautaro Arnautovic in either De Vrij or Acerbi. And I was pretty close on spot. Arnautovic did score, our Lord and Savior, Lord Arna. And Lautaro, I guess, wouldn't really get considered the goal, but he put the pressure on Kryiakopoulos, which led to the own goal. So you can kind of maybe consider that a Lautaro goal, but thought it'd be a little easier than what it ended up being. But yeah, wanted to give a prediction and let you guys know that I wouldn't be posting this until Monday, and here we are. So we can dive kind of into the game. The starting lineups for Inter. Reports are that Jan Sommer is back, but Inzaghi entrusted young Pep Martinez in goal in this match. Started the backline of Pavard, De Vrij, and Acerbi. Acerbi moving to that left center back position that Bastoni has made his own. With Di Marco being out, though, we have moved Bastoni to left wing back, which he did brilliantly midweek against Feyenoord. A lot of people giving him praise all over the world for that performance, moving from left center back to left wing back and looking pretty flawless. Shout outs to Alessandro Bastoni. Our midfield five, or across the middle of the five, was pretty much what we see week in and week out. Inzaghi's first choice, pretty much. We had Dumfries, Barella, Çalhanoğlu, Mkhitaryan, and then Bastoni in place for the injured Di Marco. And up top, Arnautovic with another start, and Lautaro. This is partially due to Thuram not being still fully fit. So Inzaghi trusted Arnautovic ahead of Taremi and Correa. And man, what a first half mix of emotions. Inter came out, and in my opinion, the first half looked really good. There was no question, I would say, maybe about what they were looking for. They were looking for all 3 points. You know, a lot of criticisms coming after that Napoli match. A lot of people say Inter was playing too defensively and playing just not their game, which, I mean, I guess you could make a point for, but like I said in last week's pod, away at the Maradona, depleted with injuries. You know, Napoli had injuries, but they're at home. It's a completely different vibe at home at the Maradona for Napoli than it was for us visiting there. You know, having these midweek matches against Feyenoord that Napoli don't have, getting away with 1-1 draw, almost getting all 3 points, I didn't think was a bad result. You know, I saw a lot of people saying this was not a good result, whatever. You could make that argument. Being up 4 points versus 1 point in the league would have been big, but it beats being 2 points back on Napoli at this point and chasing them for the rest of the season. So, in my opinion, it was a decent result, but that was last week. We'll move to this week and keep going with that. The first half was just a half of frustrations. It felt like this Inter performances that we've seen week in and week out, it seems like, from this team, not being clinical enough and really failing to capitalize on opportunities that have presented, which was frustrating, you know. We'll start with the 22nd minute. Really was kind of not much going on. It seemed like in the first 20 minutes or so, Inter dominated possession. Lautaro missed an easy header, in my opinion, which is something we saw a couple times this match, or a few times. And it's a trend of Lautaro this season, missing some pretty, wouldn't say easy chances, but chances maybe last year he would have put away pretty confidently. So he missed a big chance early on in the 22nd minute. Nicola Barella found a beautiful cross into Arnautovic, who outjumped Armando Izzo, former Torino player, center back, real pretty boy. That's about all he's known for. Not really a great center back, in my opinion, Izzo. But Arnautovic outjumped him, and it brought, this is another trend we'll see this match, a wonder save from Turati, a professed Inter fan. I think he was giving us a little payback this match as to, or payback from what Di Marco did to him at the San Siro a couple years ago when he played for Frosinone, that midfield goal. I think it was actually last year. Turati had a great game. Being a professed Inter fan, he got some criticism after that goal last year for Frosinone, where Di Marco was able to chip him from the midway line. Maybe rightfully so. A lot of people, I don't think a professional goes out onto the pitch, regardless of who they're a fan of, with favoritism. But he got a lot of criticism, and I think he put it to bed this match with some of his saves and the performance that he had. Um, but then 24th minute, off of a corner, this was literally like a play or two after that Arnautovic header. It might have been the subsequent corner from that save by Turati. Can't really remember there, but Lautaro again misses another header. It was a good save by Turati, but it falls right back to him off the save. Comes off of him, and as he's going to volley, there's a slight deflection on the hand. Regardless, he puts it in the back of the net. Monza players were irate. We're celebrating 1-0 Inter. Monza players are instantly going, saying hand. Referee takes a look at it. It took a long time. I think it was like 2 to 3 minute review. And turns out it is a handling offense, especially with the way Serie A calls it. Anytime it touches a hand in the build-up or any part of the lead of a goal, it's going to be a handling offense. Tough, maybe. I don't know. I don't think it's that tough. It did. At first, I didn't see any movement, but after the replays came in, you can see that it definitely touched the hand of Lautaro. Black and white, kind of at that point, makes it no goal. And another goal called back for the Inter. It seems like that's been a trend over the past few months, along with hitting the post, which we'll see again in this match. Um, but yeah, if he just scored the header, he was 2 to 3 yards out on the header, maybe even 4 or 5 yards out. It still was really close. Again, great save by Turati, but if you just put the header away, we're still up 1-0. Lautaro, something's off with his heading abilities this year, it seems like. 31st minute, Barella, there was a set piece that was pretty much planned off the corner. Çalhanoğlu found him, maybe not in the best way, but he still found him. It was a brilliant, or not a brilliant, a good delivery in. Barella was kind of sprinting towards it though. And first time volley right at Turati was a good save. But that was a cool little set piece thing. Maybe look forward to it in the next few matches, going back to it. Barella has that quality to hit something like that, so it's always a threat. But then in the 32nd minute, right after that, I think it might have been the play after that, Monza score. And this was really the only play of the match that worried me from an Inter perspective was the ease that Monza was able to cut through us. And there, I just listened to Inter Worldwide, their podcast. They were placing the whole blame on De Vrij, which De Vrij is culpable in my opinion. I think there's more to it than just De Vrij, Stefan De Vrij being at fault here. There's Çalhanoğlu falling down, leading, and then you can see after that Mkhitaryan not even tracking Birandelli after he made the pass to Molta. I mean, Birandelli lays it off. Çalhanoğlu is on one side, closer to midfield, falls. Mkhitaryan is on the side closest towards our goal, so kind of in between there. Birandelli lays it off to Molta. Birandelli keeps his run going, and Mkhitaryan just stops and watches him run by, and he really doesn't start running to track back until Molta lays the ball off, and at that point he's already toast. If you look at Acerbi's positioning, being the left center back, he was almost where Çalhanoğlu should have been, or maybe Barella in the midfield. Very strange positioning. If he was in the left center back positioning where he should have been, maybe he could have been the one to track Birandelli. So very, very questionable positioning by Acerbi there. And then yes, De Vrij, you've got to be tighter on Molta there to not allow him to play that 1-2 pass back off to Birandelli. Still, Birandelli had everything to do to make this goal, and it was a brilliant pass back by Danny Molta, and Birandelli one touch and then shot. I mean, it was the fault of Inter, specifically in my opinion, Çalhanoğlu, Mkhitaryan, De Vrij, Acerbi with the positioning as well. What was that? But don't take it away from Birandelli. That was a great attack and a great goal. I mean, it simply was a great goal. It took us, and we were down 1-0 at that point. Don't hit the panic button there. We didn't feel it at that point, but signs were a little worrying there. And then, yeah, literally maybe 2 minutes after this, after the celebration and everything, another near post, which we mentioned last week. That's kind of something that we've had in our repertoire season. This time it's Bastoni, not Lautaro. Bastoni running to that near post, almost gets the header to sneak in there in the near post, and would have been a good instant reaction by Inter. So, like I said, we weren't really feeling ourselves or weren't down after that first goal. And that's something that if you listen to the Italian football podcast with Carlo Vaganese and Nima talked last week about how this Inter squad, whenever they get punched in the face, there's no response. It hasn't been all year, and that's the worrying sign. I really agree with that. Anytime we go down 1-0, it doesn't feel like we're ever going to get back into a match, especially against our big rivals. But this match, going down 1-0, and then here in a second, we'll talk about the second goal that Monza scored. It never really felt like we weren't going to get back into the match. It never felt like their punches sent us back and we had no recovery for it, which was a good sign, in my opinion. Not giving up the goals, but the response. 44th minute, though, we'll talk about the second goal. Keita Balde. Why is it always former Inter players or former Inter youth players or whatever that always comes back to bite us in the ass? First goal for Monza, albeit he just signed not too long ago as a free agent, but it's his first goal for Monza, so laughable there. And make no mistake about it, it was a brilliant goal. Maybe Pavard should have been a little tighter on him. Tough to say. I think he should have, but you could maybe say, with fatigue and everything, being into the first half, some players switch off. That's not an excuse for a professional player, but make no mistake about it, it was a brilliant strike and finish by Keita Balde. And where was that when you played for Inter? The only thing I remember of Balde whenever he played for Inter was against Empoli, I'm pretty sure he got a red card, double yellow, in a match that we had to win to make it back into Europe. I think D'Ambrosio, which shout out D'Ambrosio, playing for Monza today, got the jersey on today, one of my all-time favorite Inter players of the last 10 years or so. D'Ambrosio saved us that match, but Keita Balde, I can't remember who it was running. We ended up scoring, but they called it back because Keita Balde off the ball pulled somebody for Empoli and fouled him, leading to a second yellow and a dismissal. That's really the only thing I remember of Keita Balde. Like, he maybe had some good moments of quality, but that was his last really play in Inter colors. And then he comes and does this at the San Siro with a wonder goal, 20 yards out, curling. There's nothing Martinez could have done about the first one. Couldn't have done anything about this one. And down 2-0 at the San Siro against Monza. It felt still not like we weren't in this match. They really only had these two opportunities, and they capitalized on them. We had a host of opportunities in the first half, and it didn't feel like we weren't going to at least come back and get a point in this match. And lo and behold, my man, the guy that unfairly has been criticized since that performance against Atletico last year, which missed some big opportunities, but whenever this guy plays, he's always he brings something different than what Thuram and Lautaro do, in what I think. Marko Arnautovic, he has been a favorite of mine all season. If you've been listening to the podcast, I was not one of those people throwing him to the wayside, criticizing him. I thought that he was going to play a big role in the squad, and he surely has in the last 2 months. Me and my friends all call him Lord Arna. He is a different type of player. For me, if Ibrahimovic was a lion or is a lion, Arnautovic is a god. No question about it. I think Uncle Sharma said he is not the new Ibrahimovic. Ibrahimovic was the old Arnautovic. And what a guy. He had that opportunity earlier that brought a wonder save by Turati. Similar here. It was actually a great ball over the top across the box from Mkhitaryan, the one kind of moment of brilliance by him in this match. Dumfries jumped over Kryiakopoulos, won the header, headed it down directly to Arnautovic, who made no mistake about it, put it in. Immediate response, literally like a minute later for Inter. And if this was important, this had to happen before half. Any of the momentum that Monza had immediately died at this point, and we go into half only down 2-1. Some first half thoughts for me. I thought our midfield was absolutely poor. Barella had that great one-time volley, but other than and the great ball into Arnautovic early, but other than that, really didn't do much for me. Çalhanoğlu looked like this might be another struggling performance for him. Mkhitaryan had that ball over the top to Dumfries that led to the goal, but other than that, he was absolutely terrible. And it was worrying. Our midfield, that's one thing the past month or so in these performances that haven't been that great is our midfield getting ran around. And to not really assert dominance against a Monza side, it felt like in the first half, is worrying. And I was really concerned. Second half, it improved, but we got to get these midfield performances. That's kind of where we dominated last year was our midfield three, Çalhanoğlu, Barella, and then with Mkhitaryan. And it just, this past month, the players that run the most are that midfield five, including the two wingbacks and the three in the middle. So I can understand that their legs are probably tired, but Inzaghi, you got to find a rotation or something here to get some sort of legs back in these guys because we're losing games because we're losing the midfield. That makes it where we can't get the balls into the forwards, not finding the balls into the areas for the wingbacks, and it's putting more pressure on the defense to have to play a little higher. I thought Acerbi as the left center back at halftime was not an answer. You know, it's good for maybe last 10 minutes or so when you're batting down the hatches trying to save a lead, but it's not an experiment that works. And we saw in the second half when we moved Bastoni to the left center back how big of a difference that makes. Lautaro missing opportunities again, another kind of trend of the season. He's been putting goals away, but man, I hate to bring this guy up, but if we had Mauro Riccardi up top, you know, he would have 30 goals this season easily. The clinicalness of that guy versus Lautaro, which Lautaro brings a lot more to the table as far as work off the ball and just all around hard work. But if he just had an ounce of the finishing capabilities that Icardi had when he was at Inter, man, he would have so many more goals in his career. Not taking away anything that Lautaro has done in his career at Inter, but we've seen that this clinicalness can sometimes bite us in the ass. And at this point, it felt like, is it going to bite us in the ass? And then, you know, we had to get a result. 3 points, not here. If we didn't get 3 points here, the Scudetto, I feel like, out of our grasp. So what is the response? And Inzaghi made the response immediately at half. He brought on two subs at half. Jan Bisek and Carlos Agosto came in for De Vrij and Pavard. That moved Acerbi to Acerbi to the center back, Bastoni to left center back, Carlos Agosto to wing back, and then Bisek came in for Pavard. I was a little uncertain about the Bisek sub for Pavard, but Inzaghi today got everything right. We criticize Simone, everybody does, and we need to applaud him for what he did in this match. 50th minute, Lautaro, beautiful ball after some good hold-up play into Denzel Dumfries. Makes a great run. That left side for Monza, Kryiakopoulos. I like Kryiakopoulos. I think he's a decent player. Did not do anything today offensively, and then defensively, Dumfries was getting the best. I'm really, if it wasn't for D'Ambrosio, Dumfries maybe would have had a hat trick or 3 assists, something. D'Ambrosio played a great game. Again, we need to respect former Inter players. Wouldn't call him a legend, but former Inter players who served the badge well, and he really bled for the club. But Dumfries had a great game as well, and this play carried the ball all the way down the right side of the field, unleashed a shot, forcing a save from Turati. 64th minute, though, here comes the goal, the second goal, and the goal of the match. Bastoni plays a ball over. Somehow, I think D'Ambrosio was the one that cleared it. It found its way to Bisek, who did a brilliant job here at the top of the box with just ever so slightly guiding his header down into the path of Hakan. And the technique that this guy has is, we've talked about it, the technique that Hakan has, there's no other player in Serie A maybe that has this technique. You could even maybe argue the only one that does is Di Marco. But Hakan, the way that ball the pace and the technique of how he hit the ball. You can just see, I mean, it did hit the ground, but ever so slightly did it glide off the ground with that spin where I think if Turati even got a finger on it at any point, if he would have, it still was going in the back of the net just due to the pace, the spin on the volley, 20, 25 yards out. It was absolutely world class. This is what Çalhanoğlu brings to the table that Asllani cannot. And this is what brings midfielders of other teams out a little further. It opens up spaces. Again, what Asllani can't do, he doesn't have this technique or ability from long distances, really. And so teams can sit back a little deeper whenever Asllani is on the pitch. But man, absolutely brilliant. You could see if you go back and watch Bastoni, Carlos Augusto, and Marko Arnautovic as the goal is scored. All of them, their response and celebration was hilarious. It meant a lot to them, but the work wasn't done. It's 2-2 here. Something we had to have a winner. And Inzaghi went for it. He brought on Zielinski for Mkhitaryan and Thuram for Arnautovic. Unfortunately, Zielinski pulled up with a calf injury, non-contact, kind of concerning. Hopefully he's not out for long, but I think I saw something that said Inzaghi claimed that he'll be out for a while. Really puts a damper into this result because I think Zielinski was somebody that was about to start getting that run of games that I've been talking about for Zielinski to make his mark as the starting left center mid over Mkhitaryan. And we need that because Mkhitaryan has been absolutely terrible over the past month or so. And Zielinski brings, like I've said, so much more to the table offensively, passing, dribbling, shooting. And I wouldn't even say there's a big discrepancy as far as defending. I do think he was culpable for that Napoli equalizer last week for Lobotka not tracking. But Mkhitaryan, same thing today. Birindelli didn't track him. So there's really not much difference on the defensive side of the ball at this point either. And it's a shame that Zielinski, he looked at some real pain. It was his calf. He had to be subbed. But I want to shout out to Inzaghi. He could have brought on Fratesi, Asllani, somebody, like-for-like switch that we see a lot. But he brings on Joaquin Correa for Zielinski, and he wants all 3 points. He realizes at home against Monza, 3 points. If we leave without 3 points, unacceptable. Season's over. Scudetto dreams vanish. Shout-outs to Inzaghi. 76th minute, Bastoni. Time and time again, we see his name. I've brought it up. He had a huge impact in this match. This was a brilliant, drove into the box, backheel layoff to Thuram, tried his best Keita Balde impersonation, almost curled it into that top corner. Would have been a brilliant goal to break the deadlock of 2-2 there, but we had to wait a little bit more, and it was literally the next minute after that. I think it was literally a minute later. Carlos Augusto, who I think had a great impact on this match as well, sent a beautiful ball across, and Kryiakopoulos. A lot of people were saying that I've seen this morning that there was a foul. I don't think it was a foul. If this happened to Inter and Monza had scored this way, maybe I would have been a little upset. Again, for my blue and black tinted glasses, no foul. Lautaro comes in from behind. There's a little bit of contact on Kryiakopoulos, but it wasn't enough. It was also close enough to be, maybe shoulder to shoulder, side to side. At first, I thought Lautaro had headed it, but it ended up being ruled an own goal off of Kryiakopoulos. Turati made a hell of a save. Whenever he saved it, I'm up screaming in my living room, that's a goal, that's a goal, that's a goal, goal line technology, come on. And I don't know where the disconnect was, because usually I've seen it, it's instantaneous. The ref, I don't know if it's a beep or it probably is a beep on his watch. He instantly points for a corner. He's looking at the sideline official, and about 10 seconds later, he rules it a goal. And man, inches, less than inches, millimeters for you European folks. That was the difference in this. Lautaro, great hustle. I mean, you could see he wanted it, and it ended up being the winning goal. Turati did everything he could to save it. Again, it was millimeters away from not fully crossing the line, but we escaped with a 3-2 win. There was a couple chances. Again, we hit a post. It was a brilliant through ball from Bastoni, who led the charge again on a 3-on-2. Great one-touch pass across from Lautaro to Thuram. Hits it one time off the post. We're Post FC. I think I've officially monikered us that last week after Napoli game, but we are officially Post FC after this match. And then the 88th minute, Çalhanoğlu again with a 30-yard strike, forcing a wonder save from Turati, who was Monza's man of the match. And we escape 3-2. Well, I don't even want to say escape. We come out with a victory 3-2. Well deserved. I think it should have been maybe 4 or 5-2. But yeah, there were some nervy moments where we're maybe back to the Pazza podcast, or sorry, the Forza Inter of old. But with how old we are, with how tired our legs are, there's going to be a lot of these performances down the stretch. Getting the result at this point is all that matters. We're balancing 3 competitions. Same with the 1-1 against Napoli. Not dropping, getting no points at all in a match like that is worse than only getting 1 point. Every point matters this here on out. And yeah, it was a 3-2. I want to say my final thoughts. Inzaghi was the reason we won this match, in my opinion. His subs were spot on. Everything he did, he had the guys motivated. Again, first half, going down 2-0. Even before that, I think we looked like we wanted to win the match and we're the better team. We should have been up. Sometimes getting smacked in the face, 2 goals like that, 2 wonder goals, can really damper your confidence and hit you back. But the boys responded very well immediately with Arnautovic. And in the second half, you could see Inzaghi had them going. All of his subs were good, barring Zielinski, who can't really play in that one out due to injury. So, yeah, shout outs to Inzaghi. I think if we're giving a man of the match, we got to give it to Inzaghi, in my opinion. Even though he didn't play, the impact he had on this match was huge. Grazie, Dimone. Arnautovic is back. There's no question he's the third choice striker. I love this. I feel like a proud dad, even though I don't have kids. Arnautovic, he's here. He's staying. But it sucks. The last 2 or 3 matches, he hasn't made an appearance. Ever since the game against was it Fiorentina, the last game, he had a huge goal. I forget it wasn't Fiorentina. There was another match he played huge. And it's like Simone hasn't played him since. He's opted for other players, Correa or Teremi. We need to get Arnautovic more game time. Lautaro still not clinical. We mentioned this at half. Does this motivate the guys for the rest of the season? Can this be the game like the Siena match for the 2009-2010 treble winning side? Can this be the match that gets the men going for the rest of the season? We have to see. I think it maybe can. This was a huge match at home. Coming back and having this sort of huge match is big. We'll see. Midweek, I'm not considering that one a big test for us to see if this is. But against Atalanta next week, we'll see what this performance did for the men. Injuries, though. Carlos Augusto back, huge. We mentioned that he had a great second half performance. That allows Bastoni back into his left center back position and gets a chair to be out of there, which we don't need to see anymore. And I think that's going to be big, especially Zalewski's coming back soon. Reports are he'll be back. Sommer is back. Darmian will probably be back after the international break. DiMarco will be coming back at that point. So really, after the Atalanta match, we'll only be down potentially Zielinski. So getting healthy again at the right part of the season is big. Napoli, though, they're still in the rear view. They beat Fiorentina 2-1. I don't know. Fiorentina, if you look at the starting lineup, not going to say they set back, but that's not the players I wanted to see a lot of them. Cataldi, don't really think he's a player. He's had a horror season in a lot of matches this year. Pongracic, when he came on, looked absolutely terrible too. I don't know. I think Fiorentina didn't really play their best ability. Again, it's at the Maradona. Mistakenly said last week it would be in Firenze, but it was in Napoli. Or Naples. It just neither here nor there. We can't rely on Napoli to drop points anymore. Inter's got to keep the pace and lead the line the rest of the season. But yeah, we got Feyenoord midweek, Atalanta next week. It's a huge week before the international break. We got to beat Atalanta after they destroyed Juventus. I think Napoli have Venezia It's away at Venezia. Venezia actually are on a decent run of form. They've drawn Lazio, Atalanta, and Como the last 3 matches. So not a walk in the park for Napoli, but regardless, we have to be the one to win our match, regardless of the result for Napoli. And yeah, that's going to be the way it is the rest of here on out this season. It's every week. It's get up and get motivated for these type of matches. Every game is going to be huge. I think we could still pull out the Scudetto, but these guys have to get into that 5th gear and really dig deep. But we are getting healthy again. And hopefully, this spurns us this victory like that Siena match in 2009, 2010. Any prediction? I'm not going to make any predictions or anything like that. Just be on the lookout for a video after the Atalanta match. I'll try and post one next week right after the match as a reaction. Guys, please like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think, who you think the man of the match was, what you thought of the performances. Another thing, Keita Balde, when he got subbed off, was looking for a better reception from Inter supporters. Like I said, his time at Inter was very unforgettable. My lasting memory of him was that Empoli match where he got a red card and almost fucked us. I don't know why he was expecting a standing ovation. You scored at the San Siro too against us. Like, I don't know. Didn't seem like it, kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So let me know what you guys think about that. If you want a sticker, please comment, like, subscribe. Let me know. We'll get them sent out to you. As always, guys, Forza Inter.